Okay, families, this video is going to be on open number lines. This strategy really involves a lot of understanding of the place value system and the base 10 system. So this is a real application of that. This strategy is very useful though as students are working through addition and subtraction with regrouping numbers and adding and subtracting 3-digit numbers. So I'm going to do the same two problems that I did in the regrouping video, which is another video that you can watch. I'm going to do 213 minus 71. So when I start an open number line, I just draw my number line. I know I'm going to start on this side with 213 because as number lines go, the numbers get larger. Since I'm subtracting, I'm going to be working back on the number line because I'm getting small. My numbers are going to be getting smaller just like they would on a number line. So when I go to subtract, I'm looking at the number 71. My jumps are going to be broken into tens and ones. So I know that the 7 means I need to subtract 70, and the 1 means that I'm going to be subtracting 1. When I go to subtract, I start at 213, and I see the same problem that I saw when I was regrouping with the problem written up and down vertically. When I go to subtract, I only have one group of 10 in the tens place, and I can't take 70 away from 10. Your student might be able to balance all of that in their head, but at this point, we're just going to break the 70 up. So I can break the 70 into smaller parts. So the first thing I want to do is just subtract a group of 10 because I only have one group of 10 right there. So when I subtract 10, I get 203. Now I'm just going to subtract another group of 10 because that will get me into the 100s. So as students are counting back, initially when we're going from a number in the 200s down to the 100s, it's easier for students to see when there's 0 tens here that we're only jumping groups of 10 at a time. So if I subtract another group of 10, that gets me to 193. So far of the 70, I've subtracted 20. That means that I still need to subtract 50 because 20 plus 50 is 70. I need to make sure that in my jumps, I completely subtract 70 and then 1 for a total of 71 that I'm subtracting. So now that I have 9 tens, that's a lot easier to work with, and I can make my jump larger than just 10. If your student still needs to make all their jumps of minus 10, that's okay too. Many students still are doing that if they have not used open number lines before, like in 2nd grade. Now that I have 9 tens, I'm going to do a jump of minus 50. So 90 minus 50 is 40, so this number will be 143. Now I've subtracted 70, 50, 60, 70, and I still need to subtract 1. So if I subtract 1 more, the ones place will change, and I will find my difference of 142 as my final answer. So when I check my work, I see at the top how much I've subtracted. I started at 213. I subtracted 71, 50, 60, 71, and my final answer was 142. We're going to try the other problem from the regrouping video. That problem was 225 minus 17. When I draw my number line, I start at 225 on the right since I'm subtracting. Same thing here. I'm going to break 17 up into tens and ones, so I need to do one jump of minus 10, and my other jump, I need to make sure that I subtract 7. When I add those two together, I get 17. When I go to subtract in this situation, I can subtract my tens. There are 2 tens here, or 20. When I take away 10, I'm subtracting from the tens place, so 215 is what I'm left with. I've got the tens place. Now I need to subtract in the ones place. This is the same issue I had in the regrouping. When I go to subtract, I see that there's only a 5 here, 5 ones, and I need to take away 7 ones. I can do the same thing like I just did in the first problem. I can break 7 into 5, since there's a 5 here that I can subtract, and 2, because 5 and 2 is 7. So from 215, if I take away the 5 that's already there, I get 210. That's nice and easy. Now I need to make sure I take away the 2. If I take away 2, that gets me to 208 as my final answer. When I go back and I check my work, I started at 225. I need to make sure I subtracted 17. 10 and 5 is 15, 16, 17. I took away 17, and I got my final answer, or my difference, as 208. So my work was correct. I can also use open number lines for addition. Let's say that I was going to do 132 plus 48. When I start my number line this time, I'm going to start on the left side because I'm adding, so my numbers are going to get larger as I go, just like on a number line. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm breaking 48 into 40 and 8. When I start, I could break my 40 into jumps of 10. So I would do 10, 20, 30, 40. That would be 4 jumps of plus 10, like that. But since I can just add my 40 to my 10s, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So 132 plus 40 gets me to 172. 40 and 30 makes 70. From this, I still need to add 8 more. This is kind of like I'm adding 8 to 72. I know that 2 and 8 make 10, so that gets me to the next whole 10. So 180 as my sum. When I'm adding, I'm always finding the sum. So number lines work for addition and subtraction. Just be careful when you're adding. We start on this side and we count on. When we subtract, we start on this side and we count back. We always want to break the numbers into the hundreds, then the tens, then the ones, or you could go ones, tens, hundreds. Doesn't matter which one you want to do. One other thing that students might see, if they were doing a problem with regrouping, they might see 212 plus 49. They'll see regrouping in the ones place. So if I start at 212, I know that I need to break 49 into 40 and 9. The 40 isn't a problem for me to add because I only have one group of 10 right now. So 212 plus 40, I'm adding the tens place, gets me to 252. Now when I go to add the 9, that can be kind of confusing for students because they're looking at 2 plus 9 and they get 11, and then that can kind of be confusing. So the way that we would want to have students do that is they could break the 9 into 2 smaller parts of adding or addition. So they know that 2 and 8 make the next whole 10, so they can break the 9 into 8 and 1. If I do 252 plus 8, that gets me to 260, and then I just need to make sure that I add on that last one, 261. So I'm just breaking the 9 into 8 and 1 because this number and 9 would have made a 2-digit number, just like regrouping with addition. So they can just break that into 2 smaller parts, and that will help them keep their numbers correct and then keep the number line moving. So once again, I hope that this was helpful for you, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please just let us know, and we can always make another video.